So you wake up and you have a really productive morning. You get your work done and you're feeling super motivated towards your life and your work. Suddenly, it gets to the afternoon and your mood dips. Because I kept experiencing this day after day, I took to Google to have a look at why my motivation kept dipping in the early afternoon. And lo and behold, there might actually be a neurological reason for it, and that is what I'm going to share with you guys today. The study in question, and the one we're going to be talking about today, was undertaken at Swinburne University of Technology in Melbourne, Australia. They aim to look at differences in the activation of the reward system in our brain. So the first question here, you're probably asking, what is the reward system? Whenever we are feeling motivated, we have this specific area in our brain that is being activated. It sees an external thing and it looks at it and it predicts a reward. So if you are looking at a candy bar and you're wanting to eat it, it's because that part of your brain is lighting up and it's saying, oh look, there is a reward here, eat that candy bar, you're going to feel good. The question that these scientists had was, does the activation of this part of the brain change throughout the day? Because that would explain why we might feel a bit less motivated in the afternoon compared to the morning, because we have this part of our brain that is acting differently. So let's talk about the study. So they took 16 healthy men and they gave them a gambling task at 3 different points of the day. 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 1 in the early evening. And while they were carrying out these tasks, they did an MRI scan on their brains to basically see if the activity in that reward part of their brain was changing throughout the day, despite the fact that they were doing the exact same task. So the results were telling. They managed to show that the activity in this reward part of the brain actually showed less activity towards the same gambling tasks in the early afternoon. This corresponds to just a worldwide phenomenon where we feel sluggish and less motivated in the early afternoon. More specifically, they found this around 2 o'clock. So why is this actually happening? Now they hypothesize and they suspect that this part of the brain is actually expecting rewards in the early afternoon, and that this part of the brain is not expecting rewards as much in the morning or the early evenings. Now to understand this, imagine somebody is throwing you a surprise birthday party. Now when you're not expecting that birthday party, you're going to feel really excited, probably more excited than if you suspected that the birthday party was coming, because you're surprised by it. This is the exact same concept, just in our brains. So in the mornings and the early evenings, our brains simply aren't expecting rewards as much. So when we do exciting things, when we're working on an exciting project, we're going to feel more motivated during these times than we would when our brains are expecting the rewards. So in the early afternoons, our brains are simply thinking, ugh, I was expecting this, so I'm not going to react so great to it. And that's all it is. You're expecting to get something out of what you're doing, so you're not feeling as pumped up about it. I see many videos and I see many posts talking about how do we avoid feeling less motivated in the afternoon. But our question changes from how do we avoid feeling less motivated to how do we manage feeling less motivated? Because if this is a biological and neurological phenomena, we don't have much control over it. You can have the most productive of mornings, but you might get to the afternoon and just naturally feel less motivated. But saying that, let's talk about ways that we can work with this to be more productive, to work better at these times of the day. Number 1, and you're doing this already, you're becoming more knowledgeable of this. I feel like when we understand something and we understand what's going on, it makes it much easier to move through. Understand that we might just naturally be predispositioned to feel less motivated in the early afternoon, but that doesn't mean you can't be productive. That simply means that give it a couple hours and you'll feel better. I would get to the early afternoons and suddenly start contemplating why I'm doing the work that I'm doing, because I feel less motivated. Is this really what I should be doing? Is it because I'm doing something that I don't really like? Well, maybe that's not the case. I always take note if I'm feeling really pumped up and motivated towards my work in the morning and the evenings. Just because I'm feeling demotivated in the afternoon doesn't mean anything towards the work that I'm doing or the path that I'm trying to go down. Number 2, so practical things. Save your most rewarding activities for the afternoon time. Because if your motivation levels are down here in the early afternoon, you don't want to be hitting yourself with boring tasks that are equally as demotivating, because you're not going to go much higher. You want to be saving your most exciting tasks for that afternoon to hopefully raise your motivation levels a little bit more. Remember, your brain is expecting a reward at this time, so hit it with something a bit more exciting. If it's expecting a reward, give it a little bit more and you'll raise your motivation levels and you'll feel more productive. Number 3, it's your diet. Make sure at lunchtime you're not eating simple sugars. Eating sugary foods at lunch is going to spike your blood sugar levels. You're going to feel energized momentarily. Afterwards, you're going to feel tired and you're going to feel less motivated. That's going to coincide nicely with when you naturally feel less motivated, and you're going to feel even worse. So you want to make sure that you're choosing the right healthy foods at lunch in order to help yourself out when you're faced with natural demotivation in the early afternoon. So the foods which ideally you should be eating are the ones with a low glycemic index, and I will list them all down there for you to have a look at. Exercise is another really great one. Exercise naturally increases serotonin levels, it releases endorphins, making you feel good. It makes you feel energized for longer as well. So I know if you're in the office like I am, I can't exactly jump up and go for a mile run, but you can get up from your desk and just move around, even if that means just going outside for a nice brisk walk. Studies have shown that even just going for a 20-minute walk is good enough to improve cognitive functioning. It also just gives you a little break from your work as well. So last one I want to talk about is napping. So if you're feeling demotivated, it might be a good idea to take a nap. And I use might there very lightly, because if you're like me, who takes a nap, I can feel very groggy afterwards. But studies also show that there is a prime time that you should be napping for in order to rejuvenate yourself. They do say up to 10 minutes is the perfect time for a nap where you will feel energized afterwards. I can kind of vouch for that as well. Sometimes I'll just be lying on my bed. I'll literally close my eyes and nod off for about 5 minutes or so, and I will feel great. I'll feel like I just had a really rejuvenating nap. If you are opting for taking a nap, make sure that you're not napping for too long, because you'll just wake up groggy and you'll be working extra hard to get yourself back into the zone. I hope you enjoyed the video and that these tips are useful for you. It is something that we have to accept as just a part of our daily lives. We will feel a little less motivated in the early afternoon. That doesn't necessarily mean what you're doing isn't what you should be doing. It just means you might naturally be predispositioned to feel less motivated, but there are things you can be doing to help yourself out, like taking a nap, watching what you eat, exercising, and making sure that you're leaving the exciting tasks for the afternoon. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Like the video and subscribe for more. I post videos every single Wednesday. It would be brilliant to see you there. Leave a comment down below. I love interacting with you guys, and I will catch you next Wednesday for another video. I will see you then.